If you want to make a lot more money, then you have to be low IQ. And this is actually not a clickbait title or thumbnail. When I say this, I thoroughly believe this. And the reason as to why I know that this is true and is the case is because over the last 3 years, I have worked with more than 250 business owners, that being agency owners, coaches, consultants, course creators, etc., to scale them past 10K a month, 50K a month, 100K a month, and even $1 million a month. And I know for a fact that this is one of the most important contributing factors to how much money you make. And I'll explain the 3 reasons as to why this is the case in this video right now. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. Let me just clean this board quickly so we can actually walk through everything I want to walk through. I drew this beautiful brain for you guys yesterday, and I think it took me close to 20 minutes or 30 minutes. So thank me later for this beautiful drawing of mine. I could probably sell this for a lot of money. But anyways, I'm yapping about a bunch of stupid shit. So I would say we jump straight into it. So why does someone who's low IQ actually make more money? As I said, there are 3 main reasons as to why this is the case. The first reason as to why being low IQ is actually gonna help you make a lot more money is because of something that I like to call great ideas, horrible execution. Against popular belief, I actually don't think that to make a lot of money, you have to have amazing ideas, because there are tons of examples throughout the last couple 100 years where entrepreneurs literally just took something that had proof of concept, so POC, that was proven and battle tested and already working, and revamped it for themselves, giving it their own spin, or maybe just bringing it into a different marketplace and making shit loads of money with it. And so the money clearly doesn't lie in having ideas, because everybody has ideas. The money lies in the execution. If you're able to execute on something thoroughly, with precision, and you're taking action every single day consistently without holding back from taking risks, then you're gonna be in a situation where you're better than 99.99999% of people. But at the end of the day, you need to keep in mind that business is always gonna be a competition. And so if you wanna make a lot of money, you need to beat the competition. If you are executing on a daily basis and doing what needs to be done thoroughly, then you're better than most people, meaning you make more money than most people. Okay? And so you need to keep in mind that money never lies in the ideas you have. If you have an idea, you're just like everybody else out there. If you're able to execute on this idea, this is where you stand out, and this is where you actually start making some good money. Now, tying this back to the thing I said about low IQ, why do you make more money when you're low IQ? The reason as to why you make more money when you're low IQ is because low IQ usually means that people are consistently doing stuff without thinking much about it. And although there is a bit of thinking and decision making required in business, especially if you're starting out, there's not as much thinking required. As long as you just have access to the right systems and the right guidance from someone who has achieved what you want to achieve, and you just blindlessly execute on this and learn, then you're gonna be able to outscale your competition, because it doesn't take more than this. It just takes execution coupled with the right systems, or the right thinking, and that's pretty much it. And by the way, if you do want my help scaling your agency, coaching, consulting business, whatever that may be, past $50,000 a month, like I have done with dozens of other people, then you can just click the first link in the description, and it will take you to a type form where it essentially just asks you a couple of questions, and afterwards you'll be able to book a call and talk to me directly. That's that, but that's just as a side note. So if you're low IQ, then you'll be able to execute blindlessly on systems that just work, as long as you have the right guidance with this, okay? And this is why people with low IQ usually tend to make more money when they're first starting out with their business, because they don't think much, they just act. Perfect. So that's that. The second point is a very interesting one, and I know that there's gonna be people that actually don't agree with me on this, but frankly, I don't really care. I think it makes a lot of sense to me, so that's everything that matters. But yeah, I'm just joking. My point being, the second point to this is that people with low IQ usually tend to have something that I would call self-centered decision making. What do I mean by self-centered decision making? So what you want to keep in mind is that if someone isn't thinking as much about themselves, they will also not be thinking as much about other people. And when you're first starting with your business and trying to make your first money, then you need to be good at going full focus and literally putting a blindfold on and not caring about anybody else or anything else around them. I'm not saying you have to disregard your family or friends here, but what I am saying is that you should not care what other people say about the thing that you're trying to build and you're trying to work on. You should not care about all of these things that are at the end of the day just a distraction to what you're trying to achieve. The problem is that most people think too much. Most people think that all of these people around them depend on them, and it's not a good thing to focus on themselves and focus on their business for an extended period of time. But let me tell you something, if you want to be selfless in the long term, then you have to be selfish in the short term. And so if you're self-centered and you do self-centered decision making, you're going to be able to make a lot more money a lot quicker because you're going to prioritize yourself and your own business over anything else without thinking about it. And a lot of people have a problem with that. Now, if you're lower IQ and you don't think about these things as much, you're going to have an easier time doing this. And by the way, don't get me wrong. I do believe that at some point in business, you have to master these things. You have to get smarter in certain areas. You have to be good at decision making and thinking through things, and thinking almost becomes your job at some point. But to most of you watching this right now, the problem is not your thinking. The problem is that you're not taking action blindlessly on proven systems that you have in front of yourself. All you need to have in place to have proven systems is just guidance by someone who has done what you want to do or what you want to achieve. And then taking action, you just have to blindlessly take action after that. And that's what I personally did as well when I started my first business. And that's what led to me seeing my first growth and actually starting to make more money. And so those are really the only two things that you're lacking at this moment in time, okay? The third part to this, and the third reason why people with lower IQ usually tend to make a lot more money a lot faster in business is, by far in my opinion, actually the most important one to all of this, which is that risk is the way. So when you look online and you scroll through YouTube, you're gonna find thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of videos that talk about self-improvement, that talk about how to make money, that talk about how to build businesses, and giving you a bunch of advice on all of these topics, okay? And a lot of them say that the only thing you have to do is you have to be consistent. The only thing you have to do is you have to work hard and work your ass off. The only thing you have to do is get in the right rooms because your network is your net worth and you're the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And although all of these have an impact on this, I think they are pretty much always disregarding the biggest factor to all of this, which is risk, okay? When you're a business owner, you have to take risk. And I wish someone would have told this to me earlier. The reason as to why my growth, especially in the business, stalled at certain points in time was because I wasn't willing to take the necessary risk that I knew I needed to take. And so if you're at a point right now where, maybe you're making some money and your life isn't necessarily bad and you're financially stable, but you want to make way more and you want to maybe build a business, maybe you already have a business. If you want to make more money, then you need to keep in mind that risk is usually what's holding you back. Taking that step and investing in yourself, taking that step and investing into ad spend, taking that step and hiring the first people, taking that step and, buying software, whatever that may be, risk is what allows you to capitalize, because risk allows you to bring in opportunity. And this is, by the way, a very fundamental understanding that all of us have. Everybody understands that the more risk you take, the more reward you can potentially gain. Everybody understands that. But especially in business, it's being disregarded so much and people just don't think about this, okay? Risk equals opportunity. It can also equal huge loss, 100%, but it also equals opportunity. And so if you want something, then you gotta take the risk. That's it. Like, how foolish are you to assume that you're gonna make $1 million and you're not even willing to invest $10,000 into your business? That's 100x return on investment, okay? If we look at traditional ways of spending money in businesses, for example, if we spend money on ads, if you have a 5x to 10x ROI or return on investment, right? If you have a 5x to 10x, meaning you essentially 5x to 10x your money with ads, this is a very, very, very good return. Anything above that is insane, okay? Now, how foolish are you to believe that you're gonna invest nothing and make $1 million, right? It's more likely that you'll actually have to invest not 10K, but 100K in order for you to be able and even have the opportunity to make $1 million. I, at this point in time, had access to coaching programs in total worth about $45,000. And a bunch of this money I invested myself. The other money was invested by my business partners. Why do you think I have access to systems and knowledge and ways of running the business that you don't? It's because I take the risk every single time. I invest into consultants, mentors, coaches. I invest into ads. I invest into team. I do things that I'm not familiar with so that I can get the opportunity to grow and capitalize. Okay? Now, here comes the problem. Most people think that they have to chase the ideal scenario. And what I mean by this is what I'll explain right now. By the way, I'm thinking about getting a new whiteboard. Might be smart because this one is kind of a bit harder to use for the videos, but for now it will definitely do the job. So most people dream of getting into a situation like this. Most people dream of having this much risk and this much upside, which, don't get me wrong, risk and reward, right? So this is reward, this is risk. This can definitely happen at some point in your career, but especially when you're first starting out, then you need to keep in mind that to get your business off the ground, you will likely have to take a lot more risk in comparison to the reward. And that's perfectly fine because you don't have much to lose. Say you have 10K to your name right now. Okay, if your goal is to be a multimillionaire and run very successful companies, what is 10K? That's nothing in comparison to what you want to achieve. So is it really a risk, risking this money to grow the business that you want to grow? I don't think so. And this is probably the number one reason as to why I found at least some sort of success early on in my career, is because I was willing and able to take the risk again and again and again and again. And I started my first business with money that I lent from my mom. My mom paid for my first course, $1,500, to learn how to build an agency 3 years ago. So like, if you genuinely want something, you can always have it. And these 3 reasons is the exact reason why I think people with lower IQ tend to make a lot more money in business and also online business way quicker, because they don't think. They find someone who has done what they want to do, who can give them guidance. They pay that person to show them how they've done it, and then they just blindlessly execute on everything that's being told to them. And as long as you do this, I can promise you, you're gonna see so much more progress than anyone else around you. And because you do so, you're gonna be making way more money over time. So that's it for the video. Do let me know how you like these whiteboard videos. If you like them, then I'll be happy to drop way more of these in the future, and also more in-depth ones about more sophisticated topics. So do let me know down below in the comment section right now. And yeah, I was at the gym before this, so I'll catch a shower right now. And that's it for the video. I appreciate you for watching. If you did find value, subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.